Hey there, everybody. Y'all had a good lunch today? Yeah, it was pretty good. I had some Theo's pizza, and it was incredible. I want to thank you so much for joining us for New Orleans Entrepreneur Week. My name is Justin Shields, and I'm a graphic and web designer and obsessed with New Orleans entrepreneurship culture. Before we dive right in, we have a few housekeeping items. Restrooms are located in the tent and in the atrium of the Contemporary Arts Center. Need a little pick-me-up after learning so much today. Visit one of our Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Louisiana snack bars to grab a quick bite. And as you should be aware, the Wi-Fi connection is NOEW 2017. Our next panel is here to teach us how influencer marketing isn't just trending anymore. It's here to stay. And brands are realizing the power behind those with loyal and engaged followings. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Matt Armato, Bo Ciliano, Alessandra Madrid, Lauren Martin, and Maggie Robert.
Hi everyone, how are you? I'm Lauren Martin. I'm the marketing manager with UberEATS here in New Orleans. And this is meeting the NOLA influencers who are telling your brand's story. Super excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me. So I have Bo, Matt, Alessandra, and Maggie up on stage with me. Could you guys all quickly introduce yourselves, introduce the blogs, and either what you're doing before you started blogging and also what you're doing as well now.
Sure. Thank you. I'm Bo Ciliano. I'm a New Orleans native, graduate of Loyola Media and PR. And I pretty quickly after graduating started Probably This, which is a lifestyle and food blog that I run with Matt. And currently I'm doing it full time.
I'm Matt Armato. I'm also a New Orleans native. Graduate of Loyola University. I have about 8 years of experience in the food and beverage industry. My partner Bo kind of started Probably This and was doing it as a project, and then started making money off of it, and then we kind of went into business together as I began having ideas for like cocktail recipes and such. So that's my full-time job as well now.
Hi, I'm Alessandra. I work for Digital Remedy, and I work with influencer marketing 9 to 5. And then I met Maggie a couple of years ago, and we both love doing cool stuff in this great city. And we were just like, we should share this with the world, and that's how Babes Beignets was born.
Hello, I'm Maggie Robert. I am the other co-founder of Babes Beignets with Alessandra. When I'm not being a babe, I'm the communications director at a local digital marketing and PR agency called Online Optimism. So being able to work on both of the PR side of things as well as the blogger and influencer side of things has given Alessandra and I a really unique perspective to be able to keep influencer marketing campaigns fresh and always be up to date with the most innovative things that I can be doing for both my clients and for brands as Babes Beignets. So yeah, today we're going to share with you all about what we do and how you can work with brand bloggers for your brand.
Awesome. Yeah. So like Maggie said, today we'll be talking about like what is influencer marketing, how and why you should be implementing influencer marketing in your marketing strategies today for your brand or company, and some of just the best practices for engaging with influencers, creating campaigns collaboratively to be not only authentic and telling your true brand story, but to also make it a true win-win for not only your brand, but also the influencers as well and their business. So first question is like, what is the difference between influencer marketing versus traditional advertising and or marketing?
Sure. Well, influencer marketing is nothing new. As you might know, people have been using celebrities, et cetera, for endorsements for years. And that power from having the person who is trusted by their following, whether it's a celebrity or just a blogger or someone who has an Instagram account that is popular, is what businesses use to go through to reach that audience, a trusted individual. Whereas, of course, traditional marketing, I mean, I guess you guys probably know, is through like print ads or other kind of advertisements, commercials, things that maybe aren't as personal as an influencer can make it.
Another key difference would definitely be like the trackability of clicks for influencer marketing in this digital age, at least, because like Bo was saying, influencer marketing is not really anything new as long as there have been celebrity endorsements, as long as there like Reese's Pieces in the movie E.T. That's like an example of influencer marketing. It's like it's been around for a while. The only new thing is digital media and social media, and so that's kind of how it's changed and how it is acting in these days.
The main difference for me for influencer marketing versus traditional marketing is that influencer marketing is a brand building a relationship with people who can build relationships for you. Whereas, let's say with search marketing, you can target, a specific location, specific keywords. But here, an influencer marketing, the influencer already has a direct relationship with their audience, and their voice is trusted, and people are likely to engage or even just check out your website because the influencer they follow, they trust, and they look up to is endorsing it.
So one of the differences that I'm going to touch on is that with influencer marketing, you have access to a much more targeted audience than you would with traditional advertising. For example, if you put a billboard up for your business or brand in the middle of New Orleans, you have no way of really knowing how many people are going to drive by that billboard and who's going to drive by, who's going to see it. Whereas before you work with an influencer, like Babes and Beignets, if you were to work with us to help promote your brand, we can tell you before you even work with us that our following is 70% women, 30% men, and that more than 50% are between the ages of 25 and 34. So you already know who you're going to be reaching if you're working with an influencer, whereas that may be a little bit more abstract when it comes to traditional advertising methods. Not to mention, to add on to what Alessandra said, you're using a resource that your consumer already knows and trusts. So it gives your brand a little bit more of an authenticity, whereas an advertising, traditional ad can come off as more of a sales pitch. This is someone who your consumer already trusts, telling them what is the best product or brand, what they should be using.
Awesome. You had something to add?
Actually don't. She covered it. Thank you.
Oh, she covered it. Awesome. Let's go through the next. We talked about that. So, is your business ready to work with influencers? Can you all speak to that? When in the cycle, do you think that a brand is truly ready to engage with influencers?
Sure. Well, just with any kind of marketing, of course, the first thing you need to do is build what your brand image is going to be. Oftentimes, I think when companies are first starting out, it can be beneficial for them to reach out to influencers to get their name out, but having a populated website or populated social media accounts really helps us link back to your business. So it's hard for us to push traffic to a site that might not be fully functioning, or an Instagram page that has 8 posts with low engagement. Spending some time working on your own digital media, and you can use content creators to do that and create content for you before you are paying someone else to push traffic back to those sites or social media is really important.
Making sure that you have a concise brand, that you know who your audience is, who you want to market to. Kind of to touch back on what Maggie was saying, we know who our audience is. For example, like Bo and I, our following is about 70% men, so kind of the opposite of Maggie and Alessandra's following, and they're all between the ages of 25 and 35, and they're mostly gay men. So we know that. Thanks, Lauren. So if you know that you are targeting that type of audience, then you know that you might want to work with influencers like us. If that's not your target audience, then you might want to look for different influencers.
Oh, right now. Both of them. And to speak more to like the audience, you guys are entrepreneurs. You maybe are launching a product, launching a website anytime soon. Once you have the things Bo touched on your branding, your website, maybe your product isn't available right now or even tomorrow, but you can work with influencers to create hype and to create, if you're gonna launch in a couple of weeks, you can help them like create the hype around what you'll be doing. We actually attended an event Lauren launched right when UberEATS started here in New Orleans. They didn't have that many restaurants yet on the platform, but we were invited to a dinner. Everything was catered by UberEATS, and we just took a bunch of photos and put them out there, and people, were like, oh my God, UberEATS is finally here, and started ordering. So to create hype and to start a product launch is also a great way of working with influencers.
Okay, so is your brand ready to work with influencers? One thing that you should be sure of before you're reaching out to influencers to try and do an influencer campaign is making sure that your brand is really solidified and your voice as well. You want to communicate what your voice is and your brand story is clearly to the influencer so that they can be communicating that clearly to their followers. And again, it really depends what your goal is with the campaign. Like Alessandra mentioned, you can be using it to build up hype, but say you're trying to sell a product or send people to your website. In that case, you want to make sure that your product or your service or whatever you're promoting is really finely tuned. I've seen brands jump the gun on this before, and you don't want to have influencers sending their followers to your website to make a purchase or book a deal or something, and then when they get there, there's bugs in the website to where they can't do it. So make sure everything is finely tuned. Make sure your brand message and who you are is very clear before you do one of these campaigns.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
I also think a lot of us, at least I know Matt and I do, I believe you guys do too as well, we will happily, you can pay us to create content for you before we start pushing anyone to it. So if you're starting at a brand and you need photographers, et cetera, a lot of influencers that you'll find online will actually be able to create that content for you and then sell it to you as content or wherever you need it, which is another advantage to influencer marketing is instead of through traditional marketing paying a graphic designer or a photographer, et cetera, you're just paying one person to create content that you can use and then to advertise it for you. So hopefully that can help kind of get your brand further along as well.
Right.
Awesome.
Just to add on to what Bo said, that's what's another difference really between traditional advertising and influencer marketing. Influencers and bloggers, they're really content creators too. So you're not having to hire a videographer and a photographer in addition to paying for an ad. Bloggers will likely be able to take care of all those capabilities for your brand and create something that's really special and unique.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Yeah. And I'll touch on this one for just a second to kind of echo what you guys said. As far as being ready to work with influencers, I think as long as you frame it in a way that's really authentic, as long as you have a story to tell and can give them the necessary tools as far as what you're trying to achieve as far as the goals of the campaign, those KPIs, and relate them back, I think you guys can all relate to that. It's why am I creating this content? Not necessarily what's in it for me, but how will this benefit my readers or my followers? I think that can really help as well. So I just wanted to touch on that as well. So the next part is how do you even find influencers to work with? How do you engage with them and actually kind of get the ball rolling if you are new to influencer marketing? If you guys could just maybe talk to some of the different channels that brands have reached out to you on, that'd be great.
Sure. So a lot of times we're working with companies who have big names, but we're actually working with their media companies. So a lot of our larger clients will have entire media sections who just deal with influencer marketing, who will handle, just like finding ad space anywhere else, they'll handle contacting influencers and trying to work out a deal with them and trying to figure out how to best utilize influencers. So if you have a marketing like part of your company already, or if you're paying someone for marketing, check and see if they do influencer marketing, and try and see what their options are for that.
And then on the other hand, obviously some smaller and newer companies may handle all of their marketing in-house. In those cases, probably one of the best ways to find the influencers that are right for you is just to like scroll on Instagram. You see an account that you like, check out who they're following and who's following them and who they interact with. See what other sponsored content they've posted, and then check out who else has worked with that other brand that you're, that you're looking at. So it's really just kind of a matter of kind of searching and seeing what you like, and then contacting the influencer.
So on my regular job, I am actually the person who's reaching out to these influencers. And when I'm trying to find a specific influencer, once I have a new client or new product that I need to find someone to push, I really just go through hashtags. Instagram has a location tag. Let's say if you want to find someone in New Orleans, just go do New Orleans, Louisiana, click on it, see what are the top photos, as you're searching, or the most recent photos. It's really, you'll spend a couple of minutes on it, and then you'll find a couple of people. It's not that hard. Influencers are also kind of SEO experts, so you can even Google NOLA bloggers or wherever you're trying to find a blogger from, and you're gonna find them on Google as well. And so it's really easy, and also you should reach out to more than one. Don't set your heart on one influencer and think this is the person I'm going to work with, because sometimes, our schedules are busy. We both have full-time jobs, and although we do Babes and Beignets on the side, sometimes it gets busy. We can't push a campaign as quickly as you want, so you can reach out. I would say reach out to at least 5 or 10, and you'll find a couple that are willing to work with you at the moment that you want it.
Okay, so there's a lot of softwares and databases, well, not a lot, but a few that are out there that you can use for finding influencers. There's one called Clear, one called FollowerWonk. But to add on to what these guys have all said, really where you're going to have the best luck finding the most valuable influencers is where they are. So if you want to do an influencer campaign on Facebook or Instagram, that's where you should be looking. If you want to find bloggers, you should be doing Google searches. A lot of times what I'll do is if I'm trying to reach influencers in a particular region, I'll look for sources that I trust, like Southern Living or Thrillist, and they'll put together these listicles every year or so with the 10 best food and beverage bloggers in Atlanta or in New Orleans. And because I trust those sources, and they really dig deep to find those people that they're including in the list, those are going to be really good people to reach out to. The databases and the softwares that you can use, a lot of times those are good for finding people with a high follower count, but follower count really is not all that you should be looking at. A lot of times, too, you might have something really specific that you're looking for. For instance, to speak to the PR and marketing side of things, for my job at Online Optimism, I also work to find the right influencers to work with my clients. And I was once working with a client in the travel industry who needed, the goal of the campaign was to find influencers who would be traveling to New Orleans from around the U.S. in the coming weeks. That's very specific. So what I did is I actually just went on Instagram and searched by the hashtag NOLA bound and New Orleans bound. With the help of my coworkers, we found some really valuable people to use for that campaign. On the influencer and blogger side of things, I would say if you want to reach out to a blogger, our preferred method of contact is typically just shoot them an email or an Instagram direct message. And we and most other bloggers will try to get back to you as soon as they can. But like Alessandra mentioned, we're busy, so it might take a couple days.
Yeah, and I'll just add, so before I started working at Uber, I was actually a blogger as well, so I can relate to both the ups and downs of the blogging world and the influencer world. And so when I first started and I hosted that dinner, I was in the office just sitting on Instagram for hours, finding, influencers that I wanted to attend this dinner that fit the demo, knowing who their followers were and trying to like just get into their story and who they were. And I think I reached out to all of you on Instagram or like via email, via Instagram. Like the biggest thing is engagement. Engage with them. They want to feel like you actually know what their blog is even about. You don't have to be like a loyal follower, but take the time and invest the time into the people that you're trying to engage with. Go follow their blogs, read some of their posts instead of sending a templated email to everyone. Customize it. Customize the first few lines and say, hey, I read this recent post about the top 10 bars in New Orleans, or I love your new pink wall in your house. I do. It's amazing.
It's awesome.
Go look at it. But do something like that. So when you're sending those pitch emails, as a former blogger, templated pitch emails where like sometimes you'll forget to change the person's name. As a blogger, you delete them because you're like, thanks for the pitch. I loved it. You obviously know nothing about me. So do you want to add to that?
Yeah. It's really funny because it's so true. Matt and I, not so much recently, but I think we've gotten between like 5 and 8 like women's health emails. Like we'd love for you to work with us about our new line of. One was, they're just interesting and obviously not targeted towards us, or like women's vitamins, things like that. I'm not really sure why they think we were the right fit for it, but it's just important to make your people you want to work with feel like you actually looked at their site, which is always appreciated.
Awesome. So speaking to that exact point, credibility and what influencers are actually the right fit for your brand. Obviously, there are celebrities. There are these now Instagram celebrities and social media influencers that have massive followings, and your boss is probably telling you, like, get a deal with them, like, get a contract with them. Like, we just need likes. We just need, followers. But, like, we all know the return on investment in that is low. And it's definitely a struggle, but I think figuring out actually what bloggers are credible is really, really important for a brand. Can you guys speak a little bit about that and kind of how you maintain credibility with your brands and figuring out how to say yes and no to what deals? I think it's really good.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's always a conversation. It's not just like an assignment that you then fulfill and post. Usually brands will send us a briefing with key messaging, things that they would like to get out about their product, and kind of we go back and forth talking about our brand and how it would fit into what they want to say. One really fun example of an amazing client we worked with for Valentine's Day was Hallmark, and they wanted us to do just one Instagram photo of us with one of their cards. Their cards were adorable. We loved them. And we kind of told them, we're like, hey, we're sometimes kind of brash and silly, especially when talking about like our relationship. We don't like to get too mushy-gushy. And they were like, well, let's see what you do. And we always give approval, so we don't just go post anything without offering approval first to make sure the client is happy with it. And I think that we had a great photo they loved, but our caption we submitted was something like, it's Valentine's Day, can't wait to go eat cheese fries and watch RuPaul's Drag Race or something. And they were like, I don't know. They're like, I don't know if that's right for what we're trying to do exactly. And so it was a conversation. We're like, hey, you know what, like, maybe this isn't romantic to most people, and it's what we like to do together. And we went and changed it and did something that was still true to us, but also that they were happy with. So there is always a conversation there as well.
So the question was about credibility or establishing credibility. I think it's really important for us as the influencers, the way that we kind of maintain our credibility and hopefully don't come off as just like people that are like bought and sold and just like push out advertisements. We try to keep a good balance of non-sponsored content. So I don't know, just like things that are going on in our life. Every once in a while, we'll just do a recipe that nobody's paying for. We're just taking pictures for fun, and we make sure that we have a healthy balance of those types of posts to kind of not watered down, but like just make sure that people know that we're not just saying yes to every brand that approaches us and wants to give us money to promote them.
So on credibility, I kind of want to talk on the side when you're reaching out to the influencer. I would spend a good 15 minutes at least looking over their stuff in what they do on their blog, what they're doing on their Instagram, Facebook, everything, because sometimes the amount of followers they have is not everything. Unfortunately, buying followers has become very easy in this world, and so it's something you can easily tell. If someone has 150,000 followers, but then you see that their posts only get about 50 likes, the math just doesn't add up. And so I would be very careful whenever you're reaching out to an influencer that you want to represent your brand. Just find someone that is credible and that will, relate to your brand, and their followers will relate to your brands too. On the influencer side, sometimes you have to pass up on opportunities, and don't be offended if an influencer says, you know what, thanks, but this is not for me. Because we also, like they were saying, you don't want to seem like you're a sellout and you're just doing sponsored posts all the time that have nothing to do with what your blog is. We've had to pass up on opportunities because it would just not make sense for two young girls that live in New Orleans, and I'll just let Maggie add more on that.
Okay. So yeah, finding the influencer or blogger who's the right fit for you is super important if you're going to do a campaign like this. And to build off of what they've kind of said, a lot of people jump right in and look at the follower count, and that's really not, that is important, and it's good to have a large following, but that's not the only important thing. You should also be looking at the quality of their content. Are they taking original photography? Are they just pitching out like a sales pitch type post, or are they taking the time to really put thought into creating something that tells your brand story but also resonates with their followers? So looking at that is important. And then in terms of picking the right fit, look at what their specific area of expertise is and who their audience is, and be sure that it aligns with the audience that you want to reach. For instance, if you're looking to reach 50-year-old male men, you probably wouldn't want to work with Babes and Beignets, with Alessandra and I, because our following is primarily young women. And then in terms of finding the person who is the right fit for you, just make sure that you understand that at the end of the day, they're going to be telling your story in their voice. So make sure that their voice is something that you're comfortable with. If they throw in a curse word every other word in their captions, maybe that's not something that your consumers and that your following is comfortable with, or maybe it is. But just make sure that you understand that it's going to be a mix of your messaging and your brand, as well as their voice.
Awesome points. So burning question. I know we're all sitting here like, yes, this is all great and good, but like money. We all love it. We all hate it. So compensation, what does it look like? How can you guys speak to how kind of honestly the evolution, because I've been on both sides of the spectrum now, so I have a great insight into not only the blogging side, you're blogging to make money, let's be real, and also for fun sometimes, but also on the brand side, like you are using it as a channel. It's become a paid channel. Let's talk about compensation, different ways too that you guys have worked with, both like, product donation versus actually getting paid to produce content.
Sure. We do. One note on that is we do have a lot of fun blogging. We do really enjoy it. It is really fun with two people, especially to kind of throw back ideas. So compensation varies. The one thing to keep in mind is that we are also a business. Matt and I support ourselves full time, paying rent in the Bywater, which is a challenge now, and make a living off of it. So we consider our work to be freelance. We're writing copy, we're taking photos. I'm a photographer and have a photography background, and then we're also doing advertising for it. So compensation varies a lot. If you're just looking at Instagram, one strict number to go by that a lot of folks use that I think is up to interpretation and can change a lot depending, is $15 per 1,000 followers. So someone with 10,000 followers is usually getting paid $150 per Instagram post. And someone with 20,000, usually $300 per Instagram post. That does change a lot. Sometimes we get paid way more than that, and sometimes if we want to help a company out, we'll do things for free if we really love a philanthropic cause. Damn, that was hard to say. So it's kind of up to, our value of the work, etc. And I'll let Matt kind of go on because there's a lot to say about this.
Sure. So yeah, another option. I mean, every once in a while, occasionally we will do work for product only. Sometimes companies will reach out to us and offer. They'll say that this is a product only campaign. Obviously, free things don't pay our bills. So we'll do those basically if the product is attractive to us. One story that we've kind of told a few times that's really funny. We were once approached by a pork rind company who wanted us to post an Instagram post promoting their pork rinds for the compensation of 2 bags of pork rinds. So we had to say, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure.
Just to actually add on to that, it was the most turbulent week of our business, I think, because we had just accepted a Target job for Thanksgiving, and they were giving us several $1,000s for a few posts, and then the next day, talk about ego getting deflated completely. Pork rinds company is hey, they're great pork rinds. We're we don't want to eat your pork rinds.
But then on the other end of the spectrum, total other end of the spectrum, we've done product-only work for less than what I'm about to say. But just recently, we accepted 2 matching Dell laptops from Dell, which are so cute and probably the biggest gift that we've gotten for work. And there wasn't even really a strict contract with that. They were just we want to give these to you, and if you ever take pictures with them, please tag us. And so that was really nice too. So obviously we said yes. That was really cool. But things all in between, we'll say yes or no to. But basically, if you're interested in a product-only campaign, what I'm trying to say is make sure that what you're offering is enticing to the influencer.
So it is a lot of work to create this content for people, to maintain your website. Also, maintaining a website, as all of you guys know, costs money to the bloggers. So that money has to come from somewhere. And so Maggie and I have done collaborations for maybe just attending an event or receiving some product. But then we've done some paid collaborations. And just to put it in perspective, we were approached by Postmates when they were launching here too, and they were like, oh, we're launching the day after tomorrow. Can you go take these very specific photos? We want about 10 of them with these backdrops in these specific restaurants. So we have to take time out of our day to, we have one day to produce the content and post it, get it approved and everything. And we did get compensated for that. So, just know that it is work. It's not just an Instagram post, because you would be amazed by how much thought goes into producing an Instagram post. Sometimes you see us climbing on chairs and stuff so we can get an aerial shot, and restaurants hate us. But the compensation basically has to be in line with the kind of work you're requesting from the influencer.
Cool. So, yeah, to add on to what Alessandra just said, what I always tell people is that the compensation should be a fair trade of value. So just keep in mind and be thoughtful of what you're asking the influencer to do and how long that's going to take them. Influencers typically have media rates that they'll provide you with, and that's going to depend on, how large their following is, what industry they're in, and the scope of work that you're asking for, whether you're just asking for a social media post or a full photo shoot and blog with accompanying social media post. So just be sure that you're keeping that in mind. But, if you're a startup, and I know there's probably lots of startups here today, and you just really don't have the funds to pay an influencer, these guys were saying, keep in mind, what else can you offer them? Can you offer event tickets? Can you offer a really cool product or service, or a really creative gift package that you send out to people to show off your new product? A lot of times, up-and-coming influencers, will work in exchange for a product, as well as bigger influencers, if it's like a cause that they can get behind. For instance, I know that Matt and Bo did a recent project with St. Rock Forage because they love cooking with local ingredients. So they would get sent a box from St. Rock every week, right, to be able to create recipes with the great local fresh ingredients. Because that's really an awesome cause to get behind, and St. Rock identified them as people who love to cook as well as support the local community. They knew that that would be a good fit. So yeah, and another thing that you can do is if you're worried about the price tag and wondering if the price tag is worth it for what an influencer is asking you for compensation-wise, look up your local newspaper advertising rates and compare it to that. And you'll often find that the price of working with an influencer is going to be much lower than a lot of traditional advertising and also comes off as a lot more authentic at the end of the day.
Awesome. That's a great lead into the next question is goals and KPIs of campaigns from both sides, right? So the brand has, these benchmarks and metrics that we're all trying to hit, as well as the blogger. I mean, like you guys said, it's a business. You guys are always, striving for new things and like hit those new benchmarks. So can you talk to that about how you do collaborate and work with a brand to kind of set those KPIs, and also maybe from both perspectives, how you go about creating the content for those?
Sure. Yeah, so we are always trying to be mindful of what a brand is trying to do. We're not just like out here to like take your things and your money and like roll around in it and stuff for no return. We really want to help, and we really want to help do it the way you want it to be done. One example of this was a mattress company we worked with recently. This like athletic recovery mattress. They were going to send us a mattress, and we were going to try it out and keep it and post about it. And we ended up loving it. It's like we sleep on it every night. It's amazing. But on the phone, they had said, we really are at a point where brand new. We're trying not just to build a brand image. We really want to also sell some mattresses. And we were like, frankly, honestly, like we don't know if like we're going to be able to help you sell a $1,200 mattress just because it's such a huge product. We can kind of work more with like ticket sales or like smaller purchases, but a mattress, we were kind of like, honestly, we're gonna tell you up front, we're gonna push it and love to do it. We've never done anything like this before. Let's see what happens. And I think that was 2 months ago. We've sold like three mattresses that we know of for them, but that's only that we know of. And the guy was like, oh my God, this is like better than we were expecting, because we had 3 folks who contacted us saying they ended up buying it and loving it as well. And hopefully there were more, I imagine, who didn't contact us to tell us. But there are sometimes returns directly that benefit them.
Yeah, I guess to kind of on that point, the main goal of influencer marketing is not usually conversion to sales. It's generally just kind of establishing your brand and making it's about visibility. It's about just making sure. I mean, maybe a year from now. I mean, it was very surprising that those 3 people contacted us and said that they bought this mattress. It's like how many? I mean, this was 2 months ago. It's like how lucky that 3 people were looking for a mattress who read our blog at the same time and then bought it. Like it was really weird. But yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Yeah, so we had influenced them to buy the mattress, but I think what I was getting at was what we kind of hope for when we do a project like that is like maybe a year from now when someone is looking for a mattress, they remember like, oh yeah, that mattress that those guys on that blog talked about, like that looked really good. So like visibility and like kind of making, putting that like tick in someone's head for later on.
So there's various goals you can have as a startup or as a brand. You can want to do branding, you can want to do sales, you want to increase your followers, you want to sell tickets. But what I like to think about whenever someone wants to approach us and wants to drive specific conversions, because on my job I have seen the influencer marketing directly affecting conversions, is give people an incentive to actually go and, if they want to buy our product, give them an incentive to do it. Think about yourself scrolling through social media. Maybe you see a cute skirt or something, but I mean, you can find cute skirts anywhere, but maybe you saw it on our blog and we're like, oh, if you go buy this skirt, use code BABE and you get 20% off. That will definitely impact the amount of conversions you can get. Alternatively, influencer marketing is just great for branding, great for content. Then most of the times the brand will own the content, and just having those influencers in your own content as well gives your brand a little bit more of like legitimacy. So you really have to decide what's important to you, especially if you're starting a business, what you want out of influencer marketing. And there's so many things you can do. And if you have no idea what you want to do with your influencer campaign, you can also, reach out to people like us and ask us our opinion, because sometimes we get campaigns and ideas and we're like, this might work if we go this route, but the route you're saying we've seen that doesn't work. So influencers are also the experts on what might work for you. So, never hesitate to ask us our opinion on what the goal you're looking for, if it's, if you're going to be able to reach it or not.
Okay, so they pretty much covered everything, but that's okay. I think that what I can add is the end goal is probably going to be different for everyone depending on what your business is, what stage of business you're in, and exactly what you're trying to promote. Maybe you are trying to sell tickets to an event or convince people to buy your product, or maybe you do just want to grow your social media following, and that's a totally awesome goal too, especially if you're a new business or brand. What I would say is just make sure that going into an influencer campaign that you have a clearly defined goal that makes tracking at the end of it a lot easier. Make sure that you take note of where your social media following is before you work with an influencer, so that after you can see all that awesome growth and be really happy about working with a blogger and influencer.
Cool. So we've run through a lot of stuff. I'd love to, we have about 15 minutes left, open it up for questions that we can kind of ask you guys, kind of grill you. Yeah, do we have a mic for them? No? Oh, so if anyone wants to step up and be brave.
And a couple of great examples of where a brand gave good value for your followers, so that a particular, like what should we think about when we're coming to you with things that are going to be helpful with you and your followers?
So coming to an influencer with a campaign idea and kind of how they evolve that.
And what kind of value can you give?
Right. Okay.
Brand to the followers.
Yeah.
Okay. I think a good sample of brands approaching us and us being like, oh, this is really a win-win, is giveaways, which is a type of influencer campaign. A lot of times we'll work with different organizations, like we worked with Emerald Foundation's Boudin Bourbon and Beer festival last year, and they gave us tickets to go to the event, and they also gave us tickets to give away to our followers. So for us, that was also a really great value, because it allowed us to grow our following and give our followers some thanks for being such awesome followers.
That's one really great example. Influencers love being able to give their following gifts like that. So giveaways are a really great way to kind of give back to the people who are following you. Another good thing to do is some brands will work with influencers on discount codes. So if a specific influencer has a special discount code, like, I don't know, we're selling like a watch, and a watch company gives us the code probably this, and all of our followers can use the code probably this at checkout online. That will give them a discount, but additionally, it can help you track the effect of that influencer campaign more closely, because you can see how many people have used that discount code. So that kind of gives you an idea of how many people saw the ad.
I think also letting the influencer experience your brand. We recently got approached by a car company, and they were like, do you guys want to drive our 2017 cars for a week and then drive them to an event, and we'll also give you some money to spend at the event, and just, whatever you want to share, whatever you want to say about the cars, whether you enjoy them or not, it's up to you. But, we're not getting compensated with money directly for it, but it's it's gonna be really cool to drive a 2017 car for a week and just, experience it. So that's kind of a win-win for us. Like, they will get original content from us, and we'll also, have a cool week with a new car.
And with giveaways, sometimes, just like so you're not like surprised by this, we influencers will also often expect compensation to promote, even for giveaways, depending on the value of the product. So if you approach someone with a free thing for them and then to give out to their audience, and they get back with their rates, still it might just be, depending on the value of your product. So if it's a car, that's great if we get to keep it. But if not, like also it just kind of, sometimes people still do expect compensation for giveaways. But that's a great way to really engage our audiences. So.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Hi. It was a great panel, by the way. My question is actually coming from an influencer standpoint. So I am a digital influencer. My main platform is on YouTube, and I also have, brand awareness on Instagram and Facebook. So my issue is that I've grown my brand because my niche is hair, so it's not locally. Spotlight isn't really on New Orleans like a lot of y'all do have. So I have a campaign going on right now where I'm going to 6 different cities talking about hair. And our brands have invested in my brand, or the brands that are sponsoring have invested in my brand to reach out to a community in each of these cities. And one of the communities happen to be here in New Orleans. So because my brand has grown nationally or internationally, it's not as prominent here in New Orleans. What suggestion do you have for influencers who have a specific niche that isn't locally based but needs to reach out to a local audience?
I would say partner with local bloggers. I know who you are, by the way, and I love your blog. Partner with local bloggers, just like we were mentioning before, how you find influencers locally. Just reach out. Like, most people, they'll hear about you and you have an exciting product or idea or event to share with them, and they'll be so on board to work with you. It'll take some time because especially if you don't know the bloggers in each different city, but just reach out to as many as you can and just tell them your story, what you're trying to do, why you specifically reached out to them, and I'm pretty sure most of them will be like, yeah, let's make something happen.
I can actually speak to this as well. So I'm actually headquartered in Austin, Texas, and so hosting this dinner, I actually turned it around in a week and a half, and I took Olive, humble brag, it was super fun. No, it was because all I did was I reached out to everyone. I took them all out to lunch. We had an awesome lunch. Your guys' suggestion was delicious.
We had margaritas.
And we had margaritas. That was so fun. Reach out to them, build that connection, and that entire dinner that you saw up there was sponsored by 9 different brands that wanted to come in, and we all collaborated. Like, I had people bringing in glassware and alcohol, and all the bloggers showed up, and we had a great night. It was so much fun. It's just building that connection and investing, like I said, invest the time, invest your personal time into commenting on their Instagram posts and reaching out to them and saying, hey, like, this is my brand, this is what I do, like, let me take you to coffee. It's as easy as a cup of coffee. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Or hummus.
Hey guys, so my question is more about when you reach out to certain brands to work with, what draws you, specifically, like I work with a local hotel and a restaurant and a jazz club, and we get reached out from influencers all the time, but what exactly draws you to a certain brand?
Yeah.
I think it's just what would draw anyone in this room to a certain brand, honestly. It's what you like, it's what you believe in, what you value, what you trust. We are based in New Orleans, obviously, and really love local businesses, so we really love working with non-chains in the city. I mean, we love chains as well, but if we can preference a local business and work with a local hotel or a new boutique hotel, which we've done a few times, and really get to know those folks and experience those products that are being made by New Orleanians and promoted by New Orleanians, that is really important to me and us.
So I guess if you're in the hotel industry, you want to think about who are you trying to reach. And then that will hopefully circle back around to who's going to be reaching out to you and wanting to work with you. You know, I know a lot of traditional media are going to be reaching out to hotels to hopefully get stays when they come to New Orleans. If you're trying to attract maybe like a younger audience, millennial bloggers like us and our followers, think about what you can do to create some sort of fun, hip, local tie-in. Like I know the Ace Hotel has done a really good job of including lots of local tie-ins in their hotel and bar that really create an attraction for a younger audience. But is that what you're asking? Like who you want reaching?
My question, I guess the follow-up to that would be if you follow along with other influencers to see what they're doing and how you want to, like what makes you want to follow what they're doing, or what is it that is on the website that you see? Like what is it?
Yeah, so to follow along what they said, it's what you like. So we like the food and beverage industry here in New Orleans. We love festivals. So sometimes there's been so many new festivals this year, and once we hear about them, we're like, oh my God, beignet festivals. We obviously have to be a part of that. Or taco festival today. We're like, we just if it looks like something that would align with us and that our audience would like. So who doesn't like tacos? Who doesn't love beignets? We want to be a part of that and share it. But also sometimes we see events we weren't a part of or didn't know about, and we see it on Instagram, and we're like, oh my God, we totally have to go to Willa Jean to drink their frosé. You know?
Yes.
Which we were earlier this morning.
Thank y'all.
I can actually add to that a little bit too, from both the blogging side and the brand side. When I was blogging and I was actually trying to really grow my brand, I would write down all the brands I just used in my day-to-day life. And I kind of, obviously you have your giant, global brands, your retailers, your Nordstroms, things like that. And then you trickle down like the local brands. Like, okay, where does my kind of following and fit into that? And you kind of like do the cross-off list of like, okay, these are the people I'm going to reach out to. And even from the brand side, I kind of did the same thing. Was okay. These are all the influencers I could work with in this city, but like, who really resonate with the brand, and what do I have to offer them as well? Willa Jean, though, yes, is now on UberEATS, so we do have that to offer you, just not alcohol.
Hashtag sponsored.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions or last-minute notes? Last one. We have time for one more question, or even like, has anyone worked with influencers yet with their brand or company? Yeah? Okay, I'm seeing like slow head nods, no actual hand raises. Cool. Well, yeah, that's exciting.
Thanks for attending.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.